Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the wasmCloud community meeting for Wednesday, July 31st, the last community meeting of July, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and start it off with a little bit of a strange reorder than what we normally do, but you're actually going to get to see the documentation of the week right off the get-go, which is our new wasmCloud homepage. So this is something that Lachlan has been working on for a long time on getting some new styles, some new language out around wasmCloud. Essentially what we've been talking about when we talk in the community calls, when we talk in Slack, and just getting that all updated and put on the homepage. So I won't go through every little bit here in the call, but I would love for you to go check it out. It's just wasmcloud.com, the same old thing, but it looks nice and pretty, and we have diagrams and modals and animations and videos and all that fun stuff. So the new homepage is great. There's also a couple changes on the documentation side. So like we've got a little bit more styling here in the wasmCloud colors. The blog is a cool new format. It's got well, waves. These are actually the same header image, but we've got a nicer layout for the blog page. In the community page now, we actually have a link up here at the top that will point you towards the community call. So you can go watch it live on YouTube, or you can get right into our Zoom call, which is where we're hanging out here. Um, but why don't we go ahead and jump into the meeting for today, July 31st, stylized, new website. And the demo that we're going to start off with is actually a demonstration of the Cube secrets backend that Lucas has been working on. I won't spoil it anymore. Lucas, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Awesome. Thank you, Brooks. So what I'm going to be demoing today is building on top of the secrets implementation that we presented last week using NATS. And today we're going to present how we can bring Kubernetes secrets into wasmCloud components and capability providers. Let me start by sharing my screen. And moving things out of the way. All right, so this is currently as a pull request that is about to be merged, and we are adding this to the wasmCloud contrib repo. I'll paste the PR link here in chat in a bit. And what is this about? Today, when we are configuring secrets in components and capability providers, we have this block called secrets, which we can pass in a secret name that will be exposed to the component, and also a policy block saying what kind of secrets backend do we want to use for the secret at hand. And we also have the key and also field, which is probably in this PR, but I need to get a different commit, which we can specify which Kubernetes secrets and which secrets entry we can retrieve from the Kubernetes environment. And this is a long way of saying that let's jump into code. It's more fun this way to understand. Here in WebAssembly, in your WebAssembly manifest, we're declaring a secret called example, and I want this to fetch it from a secret in Kubernetes called cluster secrets and get a secret entry that is in there called this. We also have another one up here, which is a bit more convoluted, and I'll show why in a second, that is fetching a Kubernetes secret called K3s serving, and we want to bring in a certificate as a secret here. And you see that both will declare here policies that are how we link the secret to an actual provider. And this is important because you can see that for one, we're using a policy called Rust Hello World secrets impersonation. And for the other one, it's just Rust Hello World secrets default. These are declared up here in the policies block. And the key difference is for the default one, we're simply saying use Kubernetes as a backend for this policy. For the other one, for the impersonation one, we're actually configuring the secrets provider even further by scoping down the permissions and specifying here a Kubernetes role that will be assumed by the secrets backend when reading. And this is a way to lock down the secrets backend. So it's not allowed to read from any namespace, any secret. Operators have the chance to configure the Kubernetes RBAC in a way that this here will map to their needs. And the other thing that it's possible here is to give a different namespace to fetch the secret from. So in the case of the K3s serving secrets, that is hosted in the kube system namespace. Therefore, we need to make sure that we're fetching it from the correct place. And how does these things are looking inside Kubernetes themselves? So in the default namespace, we have that cluster secrets. In the kube system, we have the K3s serving. And we can see that it also comes with that TLS cert that we were talking about. Now, the deployment itself of the secrets backend here, it's just like the NATS one. It's a binary that you're gonna run right beside your ensemble of wasmCloud hosts, and it will communicate using NATS with wasmCloud hosts to exchange that secret information. We have that running here in a namespace called wasmCloud secrets. And it's just sitting there, chilling, not doing much. But we're gonna take the logs there. It's a bit clearer. So it's just sitting, waiting for us to do stuff. And I'll take the WADA manifest that I was talking about here before, and we are declaring the secret called example. And all we're doing with it inside our component is reading the secrets from the secret store, revealing it, and then printing it back to the user. So not a very good description of how to use a secret because we're getting the secret and showing it right away, but it's supposed to be a secret, so you use to configure your connections and so on. But in here, we're gonna go ahead and deploy this application. Let's make sure that we don't have any applications there. And as we are deploying this, we should see the wasmCloud host reaching out to the secrets backend to retrieve the secrets. So it will issue one request per secret. So this is important because if you fail the first one here, this means the entire materialization of that component will be prevented because it's a failure. And we also have the information of which secret is being retrieved and which field. Now, once this is done, the component has access to these secrets through the provider package that we showed before. And what I do have here also is one Kubernetes service that is sending me straight to that capability provider that I brought up together with the application here. So with this, I'll be able to just do a curl here and get that the secret value is that, because this is the secret value that we have inside the cluster secrets here. It's pretty much, it got the value from this, and Kubernetes does that base 64 encoded. So that's pretty much what the value there is. And the interesting part here by using Kubernetes secrets is that we can also get access to the ecosystem. So if you're running the external secrets operator, you can get your secrets from AWS Secrets Manager or Google Secrets Manager, put that into a Kubernetes secret, and then expose those to your components just natively there. It makes it fairly easy also for rotations, as you can specify which secret version that you're retrieving as well. As we return the secrets to the wasmCloud host, we make sure to pass the current UID, the resource version for those secrets, so the host can then look at that and see if the secret can be cached or not. And we're wrapping up the pull request to get this in. It will be integrated into the wasmCloud operator, Kubernetes operator as well, to make the whole setup here a bit easier to get going. And that's all I have. Let me just double check chat because I was not talking. And Joshin, there's the message there.
Yeah, I could also have put it in the chat that it's awesome because it solves the last mile. We use external secrets like you've mentioned, and it opens up the whole thing for us, right? We can now use secrets. We were thinking about, oh, we have to write a secrets backend for the AWS Secrets Manager. That all goes away because we will always have our external secrets creating Kubernetes secrets layer there, right? And we have a whole thing that manages that, right? And a whole IAM whole setup. So this can all be in place. It's like the same direction that the wasmCloud operator goes with enable to use existing deployed infrastructure that most people already have and just reuse that. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Glad to help. Any other questions here? If not, I'll pass it back to Brooks. Thanks, everyone.
Lucas, I guess I have a somewhat plant question. So just to reiterate, so this essentially does the connection so that when you use secrets in wasmCloud, you can pull your Kubernetes secrets in directly into your wasmCloud app using the secrets implementation, which is secure. You know, nothing, everything is stored using Kubernetes, but then everything in transit is done in an encrypted way. So we essentially with the wasmCloud operator, you're going to get to deploy this and then have just like a one-stop shop for referencing secrets in Kubernetes.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, and thank you. There's also in the chat, there's a plan for an AWS Secrets Manager direct connection. Yes, that's also awesome. But since in our case, we're running Kubernetes anyway and have it connected to wasmCloud, this because we also have different sources for secrets, manual secrets. This is the key for us to get into that into the secrets into our components, the existing. Right? But there's definitely a use case for the AWS Secrets Manager backend because not everybody wants to run everything on Kubernetes, right? And yeah, great. I'm very excited about that.
All right, folks. Any other questions for Lucas on the Kube Secrets backend? All righty, then I think we can just go ahead and keep on chugging here. So let's go back to the agenda, take a look. The next item that I wanted to talk about is wasmCloud 1.1 beta testing. If you are sitting at home and thinking to yourself, dang, the secret stuff looks pretty cool, I'd like to try it out. I do have this open PR, which has Watum and wasmCloud updated to their newest beta versions inside of Wash. So if you wanted to give all this stuff a try, the secret support, potentially even the Kube Secrets backend, this may potentially once the PR merges and we get some instructions out there, you can install Wash from this branch. And if you're looking for some documentation on secrets, we have a working documentation page here, which is under the, which is one of our just deploy previews. This is making its way into the upstream site this week before we launch 1.1. We have a lot of information here about how the secrets actually work, how we're fetching it from the secrets backend, how you can refer to secrets from within component code. Eric has done a really awesome job on this documentation and putting this together, and a huge hat off to Dan, who wrote a lot of the, he collaborated with many people to get it across the line, but wrote the original RFC for secret support in the first place, which has a lot of comprehensive information. Just a note around secrets as well, we have officially closed the RFC as accepted for wasmCloud secrets. The implementation is complete and just waiting to be released with 1.1. And we went ahead and, this was a big enough architectural decision and design to formalize it in an ADR. So if anybody's interested, you're welcome to go take a look there. It primarily refers back to the RFC for details, but I attempted to summarize the biggest points of the implementation in the decision outcome. So we are pushing secrets and the rest of the features from wasmCloud 1.1 across the line. Just another note, if you are getting testing as well, I have a draft of the release notes in the v1.1 beta 1 release for wasmCloud. I'll go ahead and send that in the chat as well. But this just updates some of the new features that are coming in 1.1, the new versions of capability providers to update to in your WATM manifests. And we'll do the same for WATM as well. So release notes and feature updates and all the things incoming. I just want to give everybody a couple of days at least to try out the beta release if you've got some time, find any extra edge cases that we're not able to find with the testing, but it's looking really good. So should happen by the end of this week. Moving forward, I'd love to talk a little bit about a quicker release cadence for wasmCloud. It's been a little bit. wasmCloud 1.0.4, which I think was our last patch release, came out about a month ago. But the last minor release of wasmCloud was in April of this year. So it's been however time works, I guess about 2.5 months since the last minor release. And a lot of features that could have been a wasmCloud 1.1 sat in main for a little while. So going forward, I'd like to increase the release cadence. Nothing official there. I don't think that we need to do, introduce any more process than necessary, but I would just like to release some of the new features quicker. Like, for example, I don't know if you all have seen the updated wash inventory layout that Masood worked on, but it looks really nice. And it should have just been released immediately. Like, it would have been great for everybody to get that right away. So just going to be looking forward to quicker releases. No real action item there, but as you take a look around the wasmCloud 1.1, if you find anything, just let us know in Slack or a GitHub issue, and that'd be great. I already kind of geeked out about the wasmCloud homepage, but of course, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It looks very nice. It's got all this language on it. It's got some diagrams. It's great. We also have a couple of new things like structured meeting notes and new templates and things around the website. It's all just nicer, right? So we will take that. Nothing too big there. Moving on from there, we do have an update in the WASI land. Well, no need to skip over it. WASI 0.2.1, which you may remember WASI 0.2, aka the component model releasing. WASI 0.2.1 is the first patch release from, okay, welcome back, Otterbot. It's the first patch release to WASI 0.2, so it's really cool to see that release cadence kicking up. The big feature here, I lost it somewhere. This is going to be something that we get essentially as a wasmTime update in wasmCloud. Oh, what? Oh, up, thank you. I could just search for it. No. Okay, great. This is something that we'll get under the hood as a wasmTime update in wasmCloud. So as we move to WASI 0.2.1, there's not going to be anything that you're going to need to update on your component or provider or host side. It'll probably just be a patch release that we drop for the host. But the main feature that comes in WASI 0.2.1 that I know about is feature gates, which allows you in your WIT interfaces to provide new functionality with the @since directive. Since a specific version, this function is available. Since the specific version with this feature enabled, this function is enabled. Noting a specific function or type or interface is unstable. Those are the big things that you can do now within WIT. So this provides us a really nice starting point with WIT, with the wasmCloud WIT interfaces, for example, to continue to level those up and offer new functionality since a specific version, so you know when your component is instantiated, whether or not the runtime specifically supports that new function, the new feature. And if it doesn't, then you can instantiate without it if necessary, or components can start without using the newer version of the feature. I hope that did justice to the inclusion here in 0.2.1. This is really a great patch to get in as the first iteration of WASI 0.2, because it gives all of the other interface developers, all of the other standards, a place to continue to level up and not break things as they exist today. Bailey, is there anything else you'd like to say there?
I just want to reiterate what you started with, which is wasmCloud will get this when wasmTime adopts WASI 0.2.1. I'll be cutting the release tomorrow morning for WASI 0.2.1, and then it'll be a couple weeks, I expect, for wasmTime to cut their release, and then for us to consume that inside wasmCloud. But then that means when you're writing your own interfaces, you can take advantage of these new WIT features. The other thing to highlight is that we've added a ton of different types of documentation that inside the WIT specification themselves. WIT lets you add doc style comments. And so we've been largely expanding and fixing those across all the WASI APIs. So if you're using a tool like the VS Code WIT plugin, then you're trying to figure out how do I use WASI HTTP, there's some more helpful tips that'll show up there. So yeah, and the action starts tomorrow.
That's exciting. Well, we'll probably be following that in the wasmCloud WebAssembly channel. Just as that goes out, it's pretty cool. Do folks have any questions on WASI 0.2.1 in the feature gates feature API thing? Yeah, Masood, go ahead.
Hi, Brooks. Does this have any bearings on Bitcoin Gen 2 or just the wasmTime?
That's a good question. So actually Victor here, who also is a wasmCloud maintainer, he actually had added a lot of these implementations, and the crux of them are inside WASM tools, actually. And that's a suite of crates that show up in projects in Jco and in wasmTime. And so Victor focused on building on top of some of the initial implementations by Alex Crichton, and then also fix things up so that we can consume it inside Jco, which is for the TypeScript SDK, essentially. So the way that it gets consumed is through WASM tools. WIT bindgen, the one that you asked about, WIT bindgen largely builds on top of WASM tools as well. Like almost all the WIT bindgen logic actually is dependent on mostly crates inside WASM tools. So the answer is yes. It was a very long-winded yes. But I guess the shout out is if you have any problems or you want to explore it more, all the good stuff is inside WASM tools.
Yeah, and super specifically, if you want to look at WASM parser and look for the stability struct. That's basically all you need to look for. You'll find it pretty quickly. But yeah, it's unfortunately the struct is not called like feature gate or something like that. It's called stability.
Right. Other questions on 021/feature gates stability? All right. Well, then we can go ahead and move on to the last portion of the call. I know that we like to call out a documentation page and an issue of the week. The documentation page of the week is the whole site, the whole homepage. Documentation. It's fun to look at. So if folks are taking a look at anything on the site this week, I would recommend taking a look there. There's plenty of other good pages in the docs, but as you click around and look at all the shiny new things, I'm sure you will find them as well. But for the issue of the week, I actually found a little bit of a bug as I was going through testing wasmCloud 1.1. Now this is in the, this looks to be on the wasmCloud dashboard side, so I don't think that this is something that will block 1.1 from going out. But I did tag this as a good first issue, and it is that if you are in the wasmCloud dashboard, there's some cases where the health of the provider can show as pending, even if the provider is healthy. So I took a look in the Jetstream state where we take a look at the provider. It says that it's running, but it still reflects as pending. So I think this is a great first issue for folks who have JavaScript or TypeScript experience, want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing in the wasmCloud world, or if you're just looking to contribute to the wasmCloud dashboard for the first time. This is a small thing. If we essentially now, if you see the pending health on the provider, it's not anything to worry about, but I would recommend, I would love it if somebody had the time to take a look at this if they were looking to contribute for the first time. So just a reminder, across all of our repositories, wasmCloud, Watm, the wasmCloud operator, we try to tag any issues that are good for first-time contributors or for high-value features for the wasmCloud project that are quick as good first issue. So if you're looking to contribute, take a look at the contributing doc on the wasmCloud repo and check out a good first issue. If you're interested in it, just leave a comment and we can happy to help you through it if you have any questions. All right, I think that is the end of our schedule. Kind of a quick demo and community call. So now it's totally open time. Do folks have other comments, questions, or features, things in the general ecosystem they'd like to talk about?
I do. Pick me. Okay, so first things first. I mentioned this at the beginning. I just got off before this call a live stream with Tyler and Jochen, our friends from Machine Metrics. I'm linking it in the chat. I also put it in the wasmCloud Slack. If you want to see a real world example of all this stuff in action, and I mean all of the stuff, Jcode transpile, compositions, distributed running, downsampling of data even, as the whole thing. They've shared some of it before, but we had an hour for them to show it off, and it was great. So if you want to see a real-world example, go back and rewatch the live stream that ended. It was way good. So yeah, that was the first one. Then also, just as some heads up for people, as you are probably all tired of hearing me talk about wasmCloud, I'll keep talking about it because such is life. So let me make sure I've got that. Okay, here we go. So, sure. Okay. So first things first is we have some people were talking and gave some good feedback on some of the parts of the atomic interface of WASI key value. And one of the things was that the cursor for iterating over keys should be a string rather than a U64. So that's fixed here, but it's a breaking change. And then it also adds a compare and swap operation. So just go down to there. So here's the compare and swap operation we're adding. I'm curious what people think about it. I explained in the linked issue that it closes like all the different things that I could find across the key value and what we could do for compare and swap. So anyway, just if anyone has thoughts there, please let me know. This is something that people were like, it was a mistake. I cut it out thinking we could maybe get away with it, and then that was wrong. So try and fix that real quick so we can keep going on with WASI key value to move it towards phase 3, because lots of people started implementing this besides us as well. So I will link this this issue in there as well. Don't feel required to go look at it. It's more of a heads up, and then let me know if like something with compare and swap seems super terrible or anything. So I will send that one out. And then the other one is the blob store interface. This is relatively simple, but there are a few breaking changes. We basically like squished it all down into a single one rather than having this weird like dangling container interface. We also, I also made it use an actual WASI clocks timestamp rather than a U64. So once again, this would be a breaking change, but just looking for any feedback there. We're also going to try to add in probably some more concrete error types and request or like when you're putting data, like options for putting data, such as like SHAs and content types. So that's going to be the last stuff we need to do there for tidying up the blob store interface to have that go as well into like phase 2 and pretty quickly into phase 3. So anyway, okay. I don't know who raised their hand first.
I think it was me, but hopefully it's quick. So with the WASI blob store updates, is this going to be a new version of the interface, like something that we can that we should roll forward to as soon as like this PR emerges, or should we wait for a little bit until it goes through the phases to update, like from where we are with 020 draft and blob store?
I think once we do this, we'll roll forward, but we're going to probably need a support too. So inside of, I'm trying to move quickly from draft. I don't think we should, for example, key value. I'm going to call it draft 2 just in case. But what I actually want to do is tidy it up, just check that we can implement it in our providers to know that it works, and then bump it to RC1 so that we can just be like, use that as like a testing ground, and then actually implement a full 020. And then we'll support 020 draft and 020. Simultaneously, and they'll basically adapt to the same thing, but we'll just support both of them. Like for example, the cursor we'll convert it if there is a cursor set, we'll convert it from a U64 to a string, and then just send that on, for example, and then that way everything can be compatible. We'll do forwards compatible, not backwards compatible with those. And then same thing with blob store. We'll probably support the older version and then the newer version. And I can't remember here. We'll look live. We'll do it live. Right here, if we look what's in the WIT right now. Okay, it's draft. So we do the same kind of thing. We'd have 020, and then 020 would be the thing, and we'd support 020 draft and 020. Once these start becoming more common, I think, and maybe we'll even do it here. We might create some adapters for these, but we'll have to see once we start getting to bigger bumps where we have like an adapter from 020 blob store to 030 blob store, you know, like down the line. But I'm just trying to like tidy these up. Right now, like the messaging has been kind of its own separate beast, and I'll come back to that later. But these things are relatively straightforward. If they're gonna get caught up, then we might just go with what we got and then continue to try to iterate as we move along. So, Jochen.
Yeah, speaking of WIT interfaces, so going back to the secrets manager, what are the thoughts of bringing that into the WASI space, kind of defining the interface on a more high, so it's not just wasmCloud specific, but I mean everybody can then participate on a broader basis.
In this case, this was not actually a plant for those who are trying to keep score of the audience plant questions we have. Yeah, so that's actually the long-term plan, Jochen, but what we wanted to do is lead with implementation. That has really helped. Like that's why WASI key value moved so quickly, because we had like 4 implementations of it. And so we could go like, see, look. And so that's the kind of thing that we'll have if we have a working secrets implementation, because the secrets interface is as simple as config. And so we will show that it works inside of components, and we'll show that how we hooked it into our host. It's not going to be the same way that everybody hooks it into their platform. And I think if we show that, we can move forward. Yeah, and like Bailey kind of cleared, it's like once we have like the implementations of it, we move quickly. And so if we can have this implementation of it, then we can say, hey, here we'd like to propose this as WASI secrets. Here is the evidence of it working inside of wasmCloud, and then we'll push it in there. That is the long-term plan. That's actually what we did with config, but that one moves so fast that like we were able to pull it out before we really even fully released it in wasmCloud because it was just simple enough. So that's kind of the path moving forward with a lot of these, and that might be some of the other things. Like if we can't like untangle WASI messaging, we know we have wasmCloud messaging that works, so we'll add a few little pieces of functionality to it, and then we'll use that as like a basis for saying, hey, this is what WASI messaging could be to start. So it's that process of do as much as we can and then show the implementation to move forward.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
There you go, Brooks. That was all I had. A
All
mixture
right.
of exciting and boring, I guess, but
The story of life. All right, folks. Any other questions, things from the ecosystem you'd like to talk about today? Yeah, Masood, go ahead.
Quick question, perhaps with Taylor, because I had heard before on the call that the WRPC is being proposed to be a standard for WASI, or not a proposal, but I mean something for as a transport. Is there any movement there?
You muted, Taylor.
just me talking to the void like half my life. Okay, so there has been stuff. Roman did a bunch of effort here to make sure it's in Bytecode Alliance. And this is where I reiterate to help Bailey out here that Bytecode Alliance is not a standards body, it's an implementations body. And so this is where the implementation is at. So in this case, WRPC is being proposed as a standard thing that can be implemented, but it's an implementation-based thing where you can have multiple implementations of it. So WRPC is available as a Bytecode Alliance thing. It's not just a wasmCloud thing. And we're actually doing some stuff with various people who are trying out wasmCloud who are actually using some WRPC stuff directly. So there's already the interest in using this as that. And then we'll be working on having something, like Bailey is beating me to the punch. The encoding of how these things are actually sent over the wire is part of the component model itself, which is a standard. And then this is the basically like, I need a transport to send this over. And so WRPC is the transport layer. So we have a NATS one, and then was the other one that we had the example of, was it quick or was it quick? Yeah. So like then we have quick, and people can add more and more transport. So the standard stuff that it's based on is already there. And then we're able to build these common transports over the top. So yeah.
Sorry, one reason that I ask is that I had seen these, and I had seen that the one that wasmCloud maintains, or the WRPC repo versus this, they're different. And I was wondering which is which and when we're going to be using only one.
Now, 1.1 has all those changes. So we had some of those like WRPC specific or like specific interfaces for us, and just to like optimize some of the things. Roman fixed that, and the old like WRPC is now this. And so you can actually see in all of our providers and examples now that we're using like the WRPC crates directly, and then like WRPC WIT bindgen, which is part of this. You can see it inside of the crates. We have the bindgen, WIT bindgen, Rust, WIT bindgen Go, that does those things. So we use those packages directly, both in Go and in Rust right now. And so this is all like, as of 1.1, we're all using this. That was always the goal. Like wasmCloud, if people are not catching the pattern, hopefully you're catching the pattern now. We try some of these things out in wasmCloud, and then we immediately upstream, because like what we're doing is not like the magic of wasmCloud, what we're doing is the stuff that makes the whole rising tide lifts all boats. So, yeah, and sorry, Jochen got me with his joke, but yes, there's I'm sure someone will do that. I'm also sure someone will do WRPC over a service mesh, but the thing is like it's all there now. People can implement it, do things on top of it.
I'm gonna do the terrible thing and clarify a joke, which makes it no longer funny. But the reason why that's interesting to us, people are definitely gonna do it, right? Because they've made investments in service meshes and they want to have interoperability between the stuff they're running in container workloads and with WebAssembly. The thing is that we don't really need a service mesh. We kind of obliviate the need for one, so that's why it's funny to us. Haha, I explained the joke. I'm so sorry. But anyways, compatible with, not dependent upon.
Sorry for putting that out. I just had to, but yeah. No, service mesh is great. If you have one, use it. Fine. If you don't have one, you don't need one.
This is where I just repeat my jokes are kind of like frogs. They're fun to play with, but once you cut them up, they're dead.
Look, well, now, but we're halfway down here. You got it. Not everybody has, I think, a deep understanding of service mesh, and I think we should just take 30 seconds and just do the explanation. So when you start a container in Kubernetes land, you've got two problems. Where is it, and how do I query it? Now, the WebAssembly component elegantly solves the second problem for us. Every component embeds its WIT definition right in the component, so what are the variables that I can query. It has a string, it has these integers, etc. And then I also know how to query it because it's over WRPC. Now, wasmCloud gives you the next big piece, which is location transparency. So if your component's running in your lattice, you can now find it. So you know how to query it and you can find it. So wasmCloud kind of functions, checks off a lot of the functionality that you would normally get in a service mesh. But why do we need this better together story? Because most of the people that we see adopting wasmCloud are adopting wasmCloud with a strangler pattern, in the same way that they adopt Kubernetes and in the same way that they adopt the cloud. You start by spinning up a couple things in components, but that isn't necessarily directly compatible with how well your containers talk to each other. So we need a way to connect the new world, wasm native, with cloud native, the sort of container native old world. And the team here has done some phenomenal work with the Kubernetes operator. Now, the Kubernetes operator in wasmCloud acts as a bridge between those two worlds, and it publishes services directly into Kubernetes. Later this year, we think about some higher level integration with service mesh. And what that will give you then is it gives wasmCloud the ability to publish endpoints, like an HTTP endpoint that points to a component or set of components or an application created and managed by Wadum into the containerized world. So it just shows up like everything else. And then there's one final huge advantage that we see. A lot of teams and companies and enterprises have put a tremendous amount of effort into their Kubernetes deployments. So when you launch wasmCloud in a container, you inherit all of those controls, all of that security, operations, logging, metrics, all that other stuff. I'm sorry to beat the joke to death, officially murder it, grind it up, Taylor.
No, it's fine. I just gonna chime in and saute the frog. Yeah, no, I totally get that. I don't want to this service meshes and so on. I'm just happy that I don't have one to manage, right? Because it's a lot of complexity. And as you said, the core disadvantage of HTTP generally is that it binds location and the actual kind of semantic or the subject together. So you dereference a URL, basically. You say where it is, that's where the server is, and the actual thing that you want to talk about, which is also encoded in the URL. So it's the same thing. And this takes it completely apart. wasmCloud takes it apart. You connect, because NATS just has servers, you connect to servers, and then you have subjects, right? And wasmCloud abstracts it away. So you really take the location and the subject that you want to kind of observe or talk about completely apart, and that's the beauty, right? But you can leave them together. You can use service meshes underneath and so on. No problem. Better together, right? But still, I'm so glad that I can now set up a service mesh.
All right, folks. Well, that was pretty fun. I would like to remind everybody that no frogs were really harmed in the making of this wasmCloud Wednesday. Very much appreciate you joining in and listening to our metaphors and thoughts. Thank you, Liam, for the background and context here. I think this is a really cool discussion. I don't think that there's anything else to continue to go on with this call. So thank you so much for joining, taking a look at our new website, new demos, wasmCloud 1.1. We just have one more thing that I just thought of all by myself. But Liam, could you remind me what that is?
WasmCon submission reviews done to final selections now. And we will get the announcements out in the next, I think the next 2 weeks or something is when they're due with an early draft. But we're super excited. We had 138 submissions. It's incredible. 138. I mean, it's gone near exponential, which is awesome. So all the people that submitted, thank you so much, and we'll follow up on it soon.
All right, looking forward to wasmCon. Okay, everybody. I think I'm gonna cut it off now. Thank you so much. We will see you next week for our next wasmCloud Wednesday. Yeah, looking forward to that. Thanks, everyone.